You're listening to Leave It in the Ring. You're listening to Leave It in the
Damas y
Ring.
caballeros, it's Leave It in the Ring. Man, it's Steward. You're on the line right now on Leave It in the Ring Live, brother.
Okay, how you doing?
We're doing great, brother. We were listening a little bit when you were talking. We couldn't get your attention, so now we got it. How you doing, man? How's everything going in, I believe you're in New York right now, right?
Well, we just arrived back in Tampa where I'm training Miguel Cotto for this June 5th fight with Yuri Foreman. We was in New York yesterday for media stuff, and Miguel had to go out and do some things at the Yankees games and whatever like that. But we're back here. We just took off for that one day.
Now, Manny, when you obviously have a very, very busy schedule. Miguel Cotto seems like he's one of those guys that has a million things going all at once. Where do you guys find time to fit training schedule and sitting down and looking at tapes at Yuri Foreman so you have a perfect game plan stepping in June 5th?
Well, first of all, Miguel is totally this out. He's a very quiet guy, as you can tell. He stays by himself. He has a very small inner circle of which I call his family, which is primarily, 4 people. That's all it is. And he spends all of his time watching videos and, on the internet and training. And he trains very hard. He runs at 5:30 every morning for about 50 minutes, well, at least 5 times a week now. And he boxes. So at the focus, I leave that usually just on Friday for a few weeks I had to do HBO. But normally, the way I train my fighters, we only have 4.5 to 5 days of hard training. 6 days of training is too much, and that's what he had been doing in the past. Well, he was so tired in the last half of his fights, he was falling apart. But we spend time watching videos, studying. In fact, we are on the plane coming back from New York. Today, we were just studying Yuri Foreman tapes, and we, at the gym, while I'm wrapping his hands, we have videos where he's watching. So we have a lot of quality time, and for the next 2 weeks, we are just going to be focused and fine-tuned on everything. But Yuri Foreman is a very, very difficult guy for anyone to fight.
I agree with you.
He's very talented. Really not the opponent that I would have selected if it had been up to me, but the fight had already been made. Yuri Foreman is a very talented boxer, unbelievable rhythm and footwork, and he can actually move 15 rounds if he has in one direction and reverse it and go 15 rounds, move it in another direction, and throw punches in between and grab you and push you off and rough you up and then run away again. So it's a very difficult opponent for anyone, whether it was Marvin Hagler, Ray Leonard, or Thomas Hearns, or anyone.
Well, Manny, saying that already, because I agree with you. Very difficult fight, a tough opponent. Yuri Foreman I believe, is underrated by a lot of fight fans and seeing his skills-wise and what he brings to the table. But saying that already, when even you mentioned right now, not the fighter that you would have picked for Cotto right away, does that make your job now a task a lot harder to get Miguel Cotto up to par and ready to face a Yuri Foreman?
One word, yes, to everything. Rather than time on the interview here, yes. It's a very difficult fight. Any fight of any other. In fact, when I was just recently at the Mayweather and Mosley fight, I was with Tommy and Ray. And David even asked me, still, you lost your man fighting this guy. We would not have won that fight. And I said, well, the match was made. So it's very difficult. But I've had a worse assignment. But this is very difficult because if Cotto is at his peak, it still would have been a difficult fight. But right now, going through a rebuilding situation that ain't going with an opponent like this is a very tough job. But it is what it is, and I like very much what I see in Miguel, which I'll be very honest with you, I'm surprised. I thought it would have been a lot more difficult to get him back to where he would be balanced, being able to move in and out without having his weight all over his left front foot. His head down so low that he's actually, and I measured him, showed him you're boxing at the height of 4'11", that's why even Manny Pacquiao at 5'6" was able to hit you with uppercuts and hurt you. You couldn't even see punches coming. And you're out of position where you can't even put combinations together. You only can throw 1 or 2 punches. And he adjusted to that, and then, realizing that when he's at home, he does a lot of dancing. He's very, very popular as a salsa dancer. So we started to work on his balance, his rhythm, And I will be very honest with you. I am very, very surprised that the progress was made in 4 days when I first started with him as compared to the first. Because he is naturally a boxer, puncher, but somewhere along the way he drifted into a habit of doing everything with his head down. And it happens to all of us. And right now, I thought he may have been physically damaged, mentally. So far, I'm surprised he looks extremely well. And I think sometimes just having a different ingredient in your training camp gives you a psychological and a spiritual change-up, too. But this is nowhere near as bad as it was when I was called in to help get Evander Holyfield ready for his rematch with Riddick Bowe. I mean, that was a major job because Bowe was a good fighter, undefeated, bigger than Evander, got a box on the outside with the jab, got on the inside, those uppercuts which he destroyed him with, younger, and even been more active. And I was able to create pretty much what I'm doing here. I created we called it beating it with the rhythm because we were out dancing one night, me, him, and MC Hammer. And that's the way I said, this is what we're doing. By moving in and out, taking advantage of your good footwork. And we were able to do that. And after 12 rounds, he was champion again. But this is a rough assignment because Foreman is going to be really wired up for this fight. New York, he doesn't get any respect. It's a really, in all honesty, even though it's close to a Puerto Rican Day event, but this is a Jewish event. We have to be very honest. Everything is around about mitzvahs and the fight starts after, I guess, 11:30, which is great for him. It's that. So, and he's in the big Israel parade this week. So it's a show that won't be like the regular Puerto Rican type show that Miguel is on, and I've made him very much aware of that. But the way he's looking right now, moving in and out, good footwork, because footwork is very important in this fight. You're going to have to be able to put pressure and always be in balance all the time. And I feel very good about the fight right now, but never comfortable fighting a guy like Yuri Foreman.
Right.
Manny, this is Gabe Montoya with Max Boxing. Thanks for coming on, by the way. I was curious, Miguel, I've interviewed him a lot of times, and he always talks about how he doesn't have a specific game plan going into a fight. He likes to figure it out as he goes along. Have you guys made that major change? I know you're a big game planner. Have you decided to more implement something that you're trying to accomplish throughout the fight and kind of get him away from trying to figure it out?
That's a great question. And yes, because you're right. In fact, the fact I was telling him when to study films, he didn't want to look at films. What did he don't look at films? He watched the films, and each day when I'm training with Latimer and with Lennox and all of my fighters, I have 3 or 4 big screens on in the gym, and we put in a set of, all of the fights combined in one DVD, and it runs continually. Because each day you see something different. You see something new. And sometimes the sparring guys, another trainer, anyone would say, well, you notice it, you notice that. We were getting ready to fight Anthony Thompson with Latimer. We noticed Thompson had a good defense, very relaxed. We couldn't figure out a strategy. And believe it or not, after the 3rd round, just so that we had figured, couldn't really penetrate him with a jab, just to physically just tire him out and move him and wrestle him and rough him up, and figured he would tire out because we know he had a stiff back. He never bent his back in all of his fights. Something's wrong with his back. So just from studying those films, we used that. And then after we saw he was tired and couldn't move and his back was hurting, we ran out in the 11th round and 1 punch is over with. But you have to study films. And so he didn't want to do that. So I
kind of move away from the Miguel Cotto. There is another fighter I'd like to talk about a little bit, and that's your heavyweight, Latimer Klitschko. When he decided to make that film, and I got to praise him for doing it because it made great talk for boxing in the heavyweight division. When Latimer decided to do that YouTube video, were you there? And if you were, what were you thinking? And if you weren't, what were you thinking when you saw it?
I wasn't there, but I could see that was building up. I think a lot of it, I hate to say this, because Latimer is a lot meaner and tougher than people realize. He looks like he's a sweet guy and all that, but there's a real mean dog side. But people in Chris's camp got under his skin, and that's why he wanted to really punish Chris very bad. And I've never saw him since then to the degree that he's been with this fight coming up with David Haye. David, followed us for two post-fights interviews. He's all up on the stage. He's threatening Latimer, and now that Latimer's called him that, he's disappeared. He's got laryngitis. The only talking comes from his manager. His manager is supposed to talk before, so why the hell he's not talking anymore? He was shut up well whether he's to me that he's never, and I can't say why would he sign the contract, but he signed the contracts and still won't fight.
Are you a little happy that hey, you know what? This is the way we make get fights to happen, is by letting that little mean streak come out.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Have you ever asked yourselves in an hour of meditation, which everyone finds during the day, how long we have been striving for greatness? It is a privilege to fight! We are warriors!
Let us pledge that the winner will allow the loser hold the proper funeral rituals. There are no pacts between lions and men.